First aid. Take it. Thanks for that. Here you go. I can see an enemy scout. There, medic.
This is trench warfare. You might remember when Battlefield 1 was first announced that a lot of people expected the game to be all about trench warfare. Use it as a central point within the game and then use the incredibly powerful and detailed Frostbite engine to produce the scarred, barren environments of the Western Front, where the Entente powers stood off against the Central powers in a war of attrition. Now that's not anything near what we actually got. Instead, we got multiple theatres across the world, dragging in the Ottoman Empire in the Far East and the battles between the Italian Empire and the Austro-Hungarians in the Alps. We got a completely different game than I think most of us actually expected. But can you still have some proper trench warfare action within Battlefield 1? Well, in my opinion and my testing, yes, you can. All the footage in this video, I think, proves there is a niche within all the maps and settings available that can be carved out to create an entertaining representation of trench warfare. I hired my own server, I set to work with my Discord community, and I think we've made something rather unique. First of all, you start off by taking St. Quentin Scar on Rush. This mode gives you access to the 2 sectors of the map which are completely decimated by the war. You've got artillery shells, foxholes, ruined houses, and of course, the trenches. What makes it even more of a perfect setting is when the fog rolls in, and your view is almost completely restricted, or when the rain is lashing down, collecting on your weapon. You can set the fog to always be on for your server, although I haven't chosen to do that thus far. With the map set up, what comes next? Well, naturally, you want to try and replicate some of the equipment given to those soldiers unlucky enough to have been sent to the front lines. Bolt-action rifles are the order of the day, so all of the classes have access to their standard issue rifles, which is a new setting that DICE have recently implemented into the game. So here, the German classes all have access to the Gewehr 98 with iron sights only, and the British classes have the SMLE Lee Enfield Mark III, also with just iron sights. All of the standard classes are active: Assault, Medic, Support and Scout, but the Assault's SMGs and shotguns have been completely removed, and so have the Support's LMGs. We're down to the semi-automatic and fully automatic medic weapons and bolt actions only. Some of the assistance that DICE have chosen to add to Battlefield 1 as well has also been removed. Elite classes are gone, along with heavy ground vehicles and planes. Now this is to purely focus the battle down to ground level, or almost what you want to call it, trench level, creating a tight, frantic, close quarters feeling, but without some of the advancements in technology that the war revealed in later years. Right here, in this mode that I've created, we're fighting as if it's like mid-1915 to 1916, right in the thick of the stalemate between the two armies. Melee weapons are active here, of course. As we know from history, a lot of trench combat did boil down to soldiers clubbing each other to death. Weapons were thrown aside, and instead, makeshift bats, knives and bludgeons were used to beat the enemy into submission. And the gameplay in the background actually shows a lot of that when you remove some of the other weapons. The ability to increase the number of reinforcements is available to you as well, and that offers you the chance to really elongate the struggle for the attacking German forces. Pushing the ticket count up to 200% gives the Germans 150 tickets per sector, and that really creates the feeling that the fight might simply never end. Now, for the time being on the server, the ticket count is set at 100% or 75 tickets per sector, because most of the testing was done in an 8v8 scenario rather than the full 12v12. All of those server settings and tweaks has led to what I like to call Battlefield 1 Trench Warfare. Think of it as a custom game, a little bit like Fog of War, Line of Sight, or Eye to Eye, except this time, DICE didn't create it. I think this really could be a custom game for Battlefield 1 though, and it would be one that people would really like to play. My Discord server absolutely loved it, and we've spent the last 2 days playing round after round on St. Quentin Scar Rush. I'll explain why I think people will really like it. It's actually very simple. I think it's what people expected when Battlefield 1 was announced, and they didn't really get that. Instead, they got something that I think is far more well-rounded and complete, but lacking in the real stereotypical feeling when it comes to World War I. Now, I bet that 90% of gamers out there, before Battlefield 1 came along and helped expose the other theatres, would have said that their picture of World War I was the Western Front. Trenches, mud, blood, and death. I myself would have been included in that 90%. I had little to no knowledge of the war before I found out about Battlefield 1. But what overall does Battlefield 1 actually lack when it comes to World War I combat? It is, of course, trenches, mud, and blood. A game mode centered around the use of trench networks, bolt-action rifles, melee combat, and a persistent forward struggle, I think would appeal to a lot of players out there who thought that that was exactly what they were going to get when this game came out. I set the server up with a 24/7 loop of St. Quentin Scar, attacking and defending in the rain and the mud, using standard issue rifles and melee equipment. I think offers people that experience that they thought they were going to get with Battlefield 1. Now, I don't think the game mode is 100% perfect. I got tired of people bayonet charging me over and over again, and it's not simply because they wanted to bayonet charge me, but we were all doing it on the server because it became such a viable way to kill somebody. But it also exposed how casual of an actual element it is to Battlefield 1. You can simply engage the bayonet charge round the corner of the trench, knowing somebody's going to be standing on the other side, you plow into them, and there's literally nothing that that player can do about it. You can't get out of the way. So here on St. Quentin Scar, I'd love to be able to turn that off, but unfortunately, the server settings don't allow me to do that. What I really enjoyed was the standard hand-to-hand melee combat. That, coupled with pistols and bolt-action rifles in those trenches, became extremely frantic and really, really entertaining. Now, if you want to give this setup and game style a try, and I would highly encourage you to do that, and you're on the PC version of the game, you can search for my server in the Battlefield 1 UI. Simply search for Westie in the search box in the server browser, and it will appear for you. It's called Westie Server Trench Warfare 24/7. Now, it'll be up for the next 30 days or so you've got plenty of time over the Christmas break to give it a play and see what you really think. Now, if the server proves popular and people want to keep playing it, I might extend the server a little bit longer and maybe even set up some console servers on the PS4 and the Xbox One as well, if people are really interested in it. My aim with this setup is to show DICE that people really are interested in some proper trench warfare, and maybe, just maybe, give them a nudge on a future custom game setup. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments section about trench warfare in Battlefield 1. I'd love to hear what you think, and while you're down there, if you could drop me a like as well, that would be greatly appreciated. But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.